Welcome back, and this is a Times Now exclusive as far as the POK situation is concerned. With terror recruitment coming down sharply in Jammu and Kashmir, Pakistan is now resorting to new tactics to revive terror activities in the region. Times Now has now accessed exclusive visual proof of how Pakistan is now training school students in the Hijra area of Muzaffarnagar in POK. We'll also get you through these exclusive images that completely expose Pakistan's terror design.
Absolutely. In these visuals, one can see kids with AK-47s. These are picture proof of how Pakistan is exploiting children. Proof of how children are being terror trained by the Pakistani army officials. Let's listen to some reactions as well.
पाकिस्तान से हमेशा एक ही एजेंडा रहा है कि कश्मीर में आतंकवाद भेजना और हिंदुस्तान में आतंकवाद भेजना, हमेशा उनका ये एजेंडा रहा और ये एक पॉलिसी वहाँ की रही। उस पॉलिसी के तहत अब वो जो नए यूथ्स हैं जिनको वो मेंटली ब्रेन वॉश कर सकते हैं उनको इन्वॉल्व करते हैं। और जो अभी वीडियोस हमने देखी है, जैसे भी इंफॉर्मेशन आज तक आई है कि स्कूलों में जाके वो बच्चों को वहाँ जहाद के नाम पे और बड़े बड़े प्रोपेगेंडा कर रहे हैं कि जम्मू कश्मीर में नमाज पढ़ने पे पाबंदी है, जो देखा गया है।
जो इस टाइम ये पाकिस्तान इस टाइम जो कर रहा है, तो छोटे छोटे बच्चों को गन हाथ में देते हैं और ये हम कर रहे हैं। पीके हमारा अपना हिस्सा है, ये हम जल्दी ठीक करेंगे और हम ये कर रहे हैं। हम वर्ल्ड को भी बोल रहे हैं कि इस पे पूरा तरह देखें, एम्बेसी देख रही है, सब देख रहे हैं कि ये पूरा ठीक करे और अच्छी तरह ठीक करे ये सारा। नहीं स्टूडेंट वैसे एक्टिविटी स्टूडेंट का देखो, स्टूडेंट को पढ़ाई करनी चाहिए, कलम उनके हाथ में कलम देनी, न कि उनके हाथ में बंदूक देनी चाहिए। ये पहले से पाकिस्तान यही कर रहा था और अब हम ये करने नहीं देंगे।
See, Pakistani army training students in Muzaffarnagar should be a non-issue for every Indian, including me, because we are supposed to have full faith in our Indian army, which is protecting our borders, and thus it doesn't matter for us whether Pakistan army is training any students or otherwise, because we need to have full faith in the Indian army, so let it be a non-issue for the country.
Well, these in fact are visual proofs of how Pakistan is brainwashing young minds and training them to join the terror ranks. This also comes in the backdrop of an intensified crackdown against terrorists by our Indian forces, by our armed forces in Jammu and Kashmir. New recruitments have fallen sharply in the last 2 years.
In fact, we have visual proofs on our screen as to how pictures have now emerged showing students in Pakistan that are now operating army vehicles. These are Pakistani army vehicles. They can be seen at terror training camps in Muzaffarnagar. These are students in school uniforms seen holding AK-47 rifles and aiming at targets. Next to these students are Pak army personnel who are also seen training these children, and students who do well during the training are awarded by the Pakistani army personnel. And Swati, there is certainly not and cannot be a clearer proof of how Pakistan is now trying to brainwash young minds to get them to terror ranks.
Absolutely. Top terror commanders are being neutralized in the valley, and this is yet another tactic of Pakistan to revive terrorism in Jammu Kashmir. Let's go across to Suhail, my colleague, who's joining us on the broadcast with more details. These visuals are from Hijra area in Muzaffarnagar in Pak-occupied Kashmir, and it's shocking to see how children are being exploited still in school uniform. They are being trained holding AK-47s. Next to them are these Pakistani army personnel, Suhail.
Yes, very shocking and disturbing images and videos coming from Hijra area of Poonch district in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. What we have learned so far is that a Pakistani army is taking a group of school students from different private colleges in Hijra town, taking them to firing ranges and making them to open fire with AK-47 rifles. They are being taught how to assemble AK-47 rifle, how to open it, how to handle the weapons. Now the National Student Federation that is in Hijra, Muzaffarnagar, they have openly condemned it. They have openly voiced their opinion against this practice, saying that the students cannot be exposed to these weapons like this thing. And if they are exposed to weapons at this stage, at this age, they will certainly pick up the guns. Now, we have some people who say that this is a well-thought plan and policy under which Pakistani army is trying to help militant commanders, because Because Pakistan
In fact, stay
occupied
with
Kashmir
us,
is also
Suhail. We are
witnessing-
also joined by our guests this morning. We have RSN Singh, who's an author, and also Kamar Chima, who's a defense analyst. Mr. Chima, how do you respond to this latest exclusive details that Times now has access? There cannot be a clearer proof of how Pakistan is really trying to brainwash these young minds. These are school students wearing uniforms. But at the same time, there seems to be a drastic drop as far as recruitment of terrorists are concerned. It seems a desperate attempt by Pakistan.
Well, there is a one reality that for some time India has been trying to link everything what is happening in the Azad Kashmir with Pakistan. This is an indigenous struggle. Pakistan has nothing to do with. When the government of Pakistan and Prime Minister of Pakistan has come against
Are these not Pakistani army personnel?
who are having weapons?
How can Pakistan have nothing to do with it, Mr. Kamar Chima, and what are you training them for?
They are not Pakistanis. They are not Pakistanis.
Who are
Simply
these people then?
Pakistan only supports Kashmir issue diplomatically, politically,
Who are these
and
people then
morally.
in the visuals?
But there is no violence there. We do
But
not
Mr.
support
Chima, we
violence.
can clearly see with the Pakistani personnel, Pakistani army holding AK-47 rifles in school uniforms. How would you respond to that?
Well, I think you are misunderstood. There are so many students in Pakistan who get such kind of a training at times when this used to be officially schools and colleges. They used to have such kind of exercises.
But this is not a college.
Is
sir,
that
this is
a
school.
national
There's nothing
policy
to do
of
with
your
it.
country? Is that a national policy of your country where you train school students to handle weapons like AK-47?
They are not Kashmiris. It has nothing to do with
Who
the
are
Kashmir
they?
issues. These are normal Pakistanis in Lahore, Karachi, Islamabad.
These
This
visuals
used to
are
be
from
even the
these
girls and the
visuals are
boys.
from the Hijra
There
area in
used to be an
Muzaffarnagar in
exercise.
Pak-occupied Kashmir, sir.
Well, the point is that whatever you say, that does not hold the ground. Nobody trusts India. The question is, you will keep blaming Pakistan, you will keep blaming...
The fact that you
not
find
a
yourself
blame.
isolated,
Pakistan has been
the
doing...
fact that you find yourself isolated
Diplomatic-
and are pulled up by every other world leader for not being able to handle the terror situation in the country shows that nobody trusts Pakistan. India does not need a trust certificate from anyone, but please do respond to the exploitation of the children, of them being trained to handle AK-47s. These are school children, still wearing their school uniform, standing next to
The
Pakistani
question
army
is-
personnel.
We do not have to clarify you anything. All what matters is what I have recently said, that I do not know what is the background of all
RSN Singh,
that.
how would you
training was
respond to
happening.
what
But
Mr.
remember,
Chima is stating?
Pakistan
He is
does not
stating that
support
India
all
is just trying to propagate the entire matter, but
Do
we
not
have
call
visual
this as a
proof
terror
here. These are
recruitment.
children
And
who
it
are
is
wearing
not-
school uniforms,
India
holding
is sending
AK-47
terrorists
rifles,
to
being trained by Pakistani army personnel.
No,
Mr.
I think
Singh.
it is a very natural progression from using children as suicide bombers to this kind of training, in small children in uniform. Well, we all know that jihadis are groomed right from this age, irrespective of the uniform they may be wearing. The Pakistani establishment has ensured that its entire segment of the children community is radicalized, and that is why there is. You just saw. There was a video viral of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa when little girls are administered electric shocks to convert them into Islam. So I'm not at all surprised, because Pakistan is a jihadi country. This is their entire fighting or philosophy of war is based on jihad. And well, children are just cannon fodder, maybe except for the children of Pakistan, military personnel, that too officers. I mean, who may spare their own children, send them to countries in the West. But this is the culture, and they're convinced about it. By the way, they're convinced about it.
Mr. Kamar Chima is pretty convinced, and he is arguing in favor of this particular exercise that is being carried out. Mr. Kamar Chima, are you raising an army of school children to be used as cannon fodder, or is this also another tactic of Pakistan, because your top commanders are being neutralized in the valley by our forces?
Well, the question is that when the government has a stated policy that no one with the weapons, no one armed can cross the international border, nobody can go into the Kashmir, nobody can wage a war or jihad in Kashmir, then why India keep blaming on that? You believe that you should lie so much that the people should accept you as a reality, whatever you say. This is not the case. The world will not trust all that.
But Mr. Cheema, you cannot deny the visual proof that we have here on our screens. Mr. Cheema, are you denying the fact that you are using small children for your benefit and turning them into terrorists?
They are students. They must be getting some training.
For what? That is what we are asking.
When the students...
No, but that is what we are asking. What is this training where you are letting them handle a deadly weapon like an AK-47? What are you training them for? What are you training them for?
The question is, the students normally visit, maybe they are visiting some military barracks.
Okay, I want to bring in RSN Singh because he's a defense expert. Mr. RSN Singh, have you heard of such normal routine visits of school children where army personnel train them to handle deadly weapons like an AK-47? Also, Mr. Kamarjima, as far as trust issues are concerned, remember in which list you have been placed by the FATF and you continue to remain in the grey list as far as terror situation in your country is concerned. Mr. Kamarjima, I think we've lost that line with RSN Singh, I believe. Kamarjima. Kamarjima, can you hear me?
There is a question from me?
Yes, Mr. Cheema, respond.
There is a question for me?
Yes, absolutely. Tell us why you continue to remain in the grey list of the FATF. Also tell us what are you really training these children for by letting them handle AK-47s?
Well, the FATF time and again praised Pakistan for fulfilling all the legal recommendations the FATF asked. So Pakistan has done its homework wonderfully. So we are in the grey list. We will come out of that very soon. India keeps doing its propaganda. Recently, the Japanese Prime Minister was in India.
The world expects you to stick to the commitment of wiping terror, of not facilitating, aiding, assisting terror to be flourished. Terror to flourish on your soil, sir. You haven't done that, and that's why you continue to remain in that list, and that's why reminders come in from across the world to act.
The Modi-backed and RSS-backed media in India cannot convince international community.
But the FATF has very clearly mentioned to Pakistan that they will have to wipe out terrorists from the land. That is certainly not happening with this latest proof that we have access here on Times Now. Many thanks, Mr. Cheema, for joining us here. We'll slip into a short break. We'll be back with the latest.